Hello, this is Jesse Ryan Jensen with Anaheim Upgrades. You can find this project on the web at anaheimupgrades.com. So, to start with, there are 4 big picture goals that I call civilizational goals. And the first of them is shelter and necessities for all. Shelter and necessities for all human beings. If every human being who agreed of the goal that all human beings should have shelter, then those human beings who agree with it as a goal will be much more likely to be able to think of ways to achieve the goal. But if there's someone who doesn't even agree that it is their goal, well, then it's not going to be very likely at all that if the person who doesn't have the goal is included in the decision making, that the decision is going to achieve the result of the goal. So shelter and necessities for all-purpose environmentalism, websites of the future, and human civilization on Mars. We'll get into those from time to time. I call that the SANFA rubric, SANFA, for shelter and necessities for all. So to begin with, in the big picture of human civilization, those would be how I personally carry with me the idea of the 4 big goals for the human species. Is civilization having those goals, and is it achieving those goals? Now, as far as Anaheim upgrades, now what I'm doing with this project is to focus my attention on if there was just one place in physical space where an improvement could be made. Let's say you're going to have a crowdfund and everybody in the United States of America, even the world, could see the web page or see the YouTube video and have a kind of a crowdfund to achieve a goal, right? Many people who don't necessarily know each other any other way, putting their dollars together, putting the currency together to achieve a common goal. Well, if the goal is any kind of improvement in physical space, how would you achieve a consensus on in what physical location to build the one thing or the first thing of it? So I'm choosing for my project Anaheim. There's a pretty good consensus that people enjoy Disneyland and they enjoy Disney World in Orlando, and we have many other parks down there in Southern California, and there's also the SeaWorld in Tampa. SeaWorld in Orlando and the Busch Gardens in Tampa. As long as I'm mentioning those, I'm a person who has been to SeaWorld many times, SeaWorld San Diego many times, SeaWorld Texas, and Six Flags Fiesta Texas many times. Where I am right now, I'm near California's Great America, which is in its final seasons. I'm in the Mountain View, California right now. So what are these upgrades here? What are these upgrades? So one of the upgrades that I think is important is, as we're looking at zoning and planning, are we looking at a flat architecture of one story all over the place, urban sprawl, or are we looking at a round architecture, 2 or more stories, use of space? And I think most people who have ever thought of that have heard one of the main reasons why there's so much just one story is because of the parking spaces. America's love of the automobile. Everybody is supposed to want to get their own car. And so we have to have parking spaces for all people. So the ordinance tied number of parking spaces for a number of square feet kind of thing. And so it's like, well, why don't they make that 2 stories? I mean, if leasing the space is their business, why wouldn't they have twice as much space, right? Like, because of parking spaces. Because of parking spaces. So we'll come around to that again and again and again and try to deconstruct what are the moving parts there. None of them are moving parts. Well, somewhere in there we need to make a part that isn't moving to a moving part about ordinances, parking, and so on and so forth. Parking spaces. So we can have increased density. And the other thing is zoning mixed use. All right. What's another reason why a person who would own property wouldn't be able to build what they have as a dream for the best use of the property if in the city planning department, sorry, that zone is not zoned for that. You can't build that there. You could build that there. I don't own that. Well, I guess you should have thought of that before you bought the property and so on and so forth. So mixed use, and sometimes lately I've heard like transit oriented zoning, and those are, I've only seen those as mixed use. Right? Transit oriented zoning in particular, or mixed use zoning overall, be a good way to increase the density of possibilities for any particular parcel. I see, I was looking at the City of Anaheim Public Works video from, like a month ago or 6 months ago. And I noticed there, it looked like it was probably near Disneyland, that they had a lighting package there. The lights were either changing color or changing brightness. I was like, okay, good, because I was going to suggest that. So that's good. That's neat. And then we had the Olympics coming up. And there's a whole bunch of things. There are about 60 things written down here. This is a good place to start. Again, my name is Jesse, and this is Anaheim Upgrades.